Sally, would you do that healing prayer?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mother, Father, God, creators of all that is, we address this to you in much gratitude for all the blessings you've given us in this world and in our lives. And we ask that you continue to care for us, be patient with us, and nurture us. We also ask, therefore, that you send healing to those in need, to all sentient beings on this planet who have the need to be healed or cured. We especially ask for healing for Laura Dunfield with her back issues, for Kevin Hatt, for Paula, that she continue to heal her arm, and for Cheryl Larson, and for a number of other people that we know. Each one of us can give you a silent name. And we ask that you would heal them according to your plans and their highest and best good. We ask this in the name of love, in the name of all that is good. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. So it is.
Oh.
Thank
Mm.
Continuing the legacy interviews, our legacy interviews for the Madonna Ministry. Sally's going to interview Catrina.
Who is here? Yay! Good morning.
Good morning. Afternoon.
Well, yeah, I guess it is now. Okay, so Catrina and I met about a week ago, and we came up with some questions for me to ask her. So I'm going to start out, Catrina, by asking you to tell us about your spiritual journey from when you were very young through today. Go for it.
So that's very convoluted, I guess. For me, as long as I can remember, I've always dreamed, and it would be dreams where it would be a lot of symbology, interpretation. I've always seen different beings growing up, as I'm sure a lot of children did, but I also grew up in a house that was quite haunted, but it was haunted by ancestors, people who had passed. So there were scary moments, of course, for a child, but I also grew up very religious. So a lot of the things that I would see and hear, I was always told not to ask. I know one thing that really stood out, and I drove my grandma, who was actually my great grandma, crazy with this, and she was also like my mom, is that I've always considered myself a healer. So I would bring every hurt cat, dog, bird, snake, frog, whatever it is, it was in our house or in our backyard or on the back porch, all bandaged up. And I would sit there, and it's so funny. I would put hands on and try to do the healing. And I was happy when it seemed to work, and always so devastated at the patients that I lost. But I didn't stop. What were you going to say, Sally?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. So, with that continued quite a bit. With the spirits and different things that I would see, I was actually quite afraid of the dark until I was actually in my early 20s. I actually slept with my grandma until I was 13, believe it or not. Just because I would see things, hear things, sometimes interact with things. And when I asked questions, I was told that we don't talk about that. And so early on, I actually had a protector who was the goddess Isis. And I didn't know it at the time till I saw a picture of her. And I was like, that's the lady, who always kept me safe. So I went this way. Since no one would answer questions for me, I actually would look for answers myself. I would find books on healing that also had magic. And that's how I was introduced to Scott Cunningham early on. I would do magic that I would find from him overseas. I would find it in the back of books and different things like that. So water magic was what I started out with. And from that came angelic magic, protection magic. So I was largely self-taught until I was about 19. And then I ran into a woman who was a self-taught witch in my hometown. And from that, I learned so much from her. That's how I began teaching magical studies. So by the time I started teaching magical studies in her shop, I was about 24. But I had been practicing magic since my early teens, believe it or not. So here I am, this 24-year-old who's teaching people who are in their 50s and 60s and so on and so forth. But I was the most experienced person there, also a medium. And that's where I found out that I had many, I want to say all the clairs, but many of the clairs, clairaudient, clairsentient, clair, like I can feel, touch, taste, hear all sorts of things. So that's how I became the head teacher of the magical studies group there. And at that place, that's where I actually became engaged with different groups. The woman whose store that I was teaching at, she was in connection with a lot of authors. So I had the opportunity to learn from Janet Farr and Gavin Bone, who would come and do different things and different workshops. And then I did stuff with them one-on-one. That's how I met Raven Gramassi, who was my mentor for many years until he passed several years ago. I was very lucky to be in contact with many authors, learn under many people in the magical community, DJ Conway, Silver Raven Wolf, Doreen Virtue. I didn't study under her directly, but met her and was able to do different things with her as well. So my path has been very up and down, convoluted. It's times where I thought I was a witch, where I thought I was Wiccan, until now my journey where I am spiritual. I am spiritual, but I know a lot of different things. I do want to say, though, as many people that I have learned under and learned with, the most amazing teacher that I have has been spirit. My mentor called this the dream begotten grimoire. And when I say that I've been taught by spirit, literally working with angels, God, just higher level beings. And what happens is as I sleep or as I've slept, and it still happens, I would get communication. There was one time where they taught me how the brain works. Like literally they would show me like a street, and it was a street in the city, and it would show me how the brain works in different sections. Just all kinds of things that I learned as I sleep, and then I'd wake up and try and verify it. And it's awesome when you can. So I've been largely touched by spirit, and I'm so very thankful for that every day, all the time. So I feel like I'm just babbling on. Do you want to say anything, Sally?
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
Could you go over again some of the names of some of the teachers that you feel were the most influential, and then books that you would share, would like to share? Not share the books, but share the titles with us so that we could, if we are interested, could get copies and read them.
Oh my gosh. I wish I would have written down all the books that I have.
Well, not all of them, just the ones that are the most influential.
Well, there's a lot of Scott Cunningham books, and he has a lot of beginner books that are that have formularies, not just for how to do certain spells, so to speak. But whether it's for love, money, health, those are the ones that are our beginning books. So I would think, gosh, what is the name of it? I would have to grab it. It's in the other room. But I would definitely say Scott Cunningham is very influential. He is what most people use when they're first starting out on a path, because a lot of his books contain herbs and how to use them, elements of herbs for healing, for every single thing that you can think of, protection, and so on and so forth. And I was very much into that. And I use a lot of that as well with my products, just to make sure that they align with the right time of year and different parts of the body, and elements that the body has, especially say if you have like a fever and so on and so forth, that is a fiery element that you want to cool with the water element, and so on and so forth. There's a book called The Wiccan Formulary. I am actually going to grab them in a little bit so I can show them to you guys. I use that the same way. All it really has is the same thing: elements of plants, their magical properties, their health properties, spiritual properties, the best times to use them, to harvest them, and things like that. But the authors who have been the most influential for me, Reverend, especially, he was my mentor for over a decade. And he was very influential for me, being a Strega who was taught by a long line of witches. He would answer questions for me, when we would cast circles. Why do we cast circles? Why do we only enter in this way, and so on and so forth? And energy questions, angelic questions. He was such a scholar, or is such a scholar. I was like a kid in a candy store. Everything that I would ask, and I would just shoot questions at him. And I tell people I'm a typical Gemini. I read, I question, I want to know. And he I felt like that kid, little kids when they're at that stage, when they're like, why? And you answer the question and they're like, but why? But why? That was me as an adult. I was, but why? But why? But why? And I will always ask everything. So from him and from Stephanie Grimassi, I learned what they call the old ways. So, you see witches celebrate Sabbats and Esbats. And so I would learn from them the reasons behind that, and, what it meant, why, with the harvesting, and the connection with the Esbats and the Sabbats, or that the energies that cross the earth are different at certain times of the year. And also there are certain ceremonies that would be good, or certain types of magic or energies to tap into that would be best to do. And this is why people harvest at certain times. A lot of times when you see people from magic communities, they'll say, oh, this was done during the solstice, or this was done during, a certain time. And it's because there's certain energies that are really great that are tied into that time of the year that you can harvest. So he taught me just so many things. The old ways, ash, bulk, and boulder, just things like ancestral magic, how, we how trees are so healing, and how people can learn from plant life. And that's because they're in the earth, and everything that is in the earth carries the memories of what has been from the very beginning up until now. Just all the teachings that we got. So plant magic, everything that makes me who I am up until now, I've had bits and pieces, and he has been very instrumental in allowing the growth that I had, and supporting the growth that I had into being the person that I am today. So yeah, he's been the most influential. Even with just my dealings with other beings. At one point, I tell you, Isis was my first protector. And she is kind of what brought me to you guys, because Isis and Horus, she's also an aspect of Mother Mary, Madonna and child. So that is something that really, really was also influential for me too.
So, okay, you said that she was one of the things that brought you to the ministry. What other things, what about us brought you to us? What was it that you found?
So this time around at the ministry is actually my second time around. So Laura brought me to the ministry. And the first time she brought me, I have to admit, the name was different. I don't remember what the name of the ministry was back then, but I wasn't as interested in the beginning because it made me think immediately just of church. And for me, church had been very off-putting only by the people that I've encountered in church. So growing up, I grew up Baptist. And sorry to say that the church that I was a part of, it was horrible. The pastor was sleeping around with people. The deaconesses and deacons were sleeping with each other's husbands. Everything about that church was absolutely horrid to me. And I started to think of church as being full of hypocrites. So the first time around, I was just not interested, even though Laura said it was a place where people were very open. I also had the experience of thinking maybe I'm a witch, maybe I'm not a witch, I don't know. But I had all these things behind me of things that I knew and things that I practiced. And nobody really knew who I was except for me. And I had the experience of people thinking, oh, she does this, she must be this way or that way. So I was very guarded with myself. So I think that was also part of it too. But the second time around, I don't know. The Madonna Ministries, the name was very open to me. The energy of the group felt very different to me too. And I don't know if it's just a matter of where I was at the time, myself emotionally, and being more confident and secure in who I am. But the connection of Mother Mary and Isis for me, Isis and it just, the connection was just very much there. And when I attended the first meeting, I'm trying to think of who was teaching, but it was so open. And to me, it made me feel like no one is like me. We're all similar to each other, but no one is like me and no one is like any of you, even though we all carry the similarity in our hearts and our minds of being helpful to people and healing, and just, it's just very much the energy of everyone caught me at that moment, and the openness of everyone caught me at that moment. And it felt like this is a place where I can be authentically myself, and people love me for it, the way that I love everybody else for being who they are. And they would value my experiences and me the way that I would value them. So that is very much what brought me here. And the more that I listened, the more that I felt, you know what, maybe this wasn't the place for me before, but this definitely is a place for me where I can learn and grow from people, and they could probably learn and grow from me as well. Mm-hmm. And it be something that is just right, beneficial, but it feels healing, not just to me and my spirit, but it feels healing that I can also do that for someone else. So that is really what brought me back around. It felt good this time around. So yeah, I think inside and outside. I hope that makes sense.
Very beautifully said. That was very beautiful.
Yeah. We are, the essence of our organization is much different than what it was before. We are much more all-inclusive, if you will, much more inviting, much more accepting, far less churchy, and
amen.
that a lot of members have spiritual leanings that don't coincide with a church atmosphere, sort of, so to speak. And we're more of an open-minded ministry now. And, you know, we are still learning, we're still growing, and people like you have added to what we have to offer, you know,
Mhm.
and we just
Absolutely.
continue to offer you what you need.
Mm.
See.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I still feel like I'm learning what I need. As I think a lot of us, and no matter what you know, there is always more to know. And I found that as I started teaching magical studies, everything that I felt that I knew and I knew solidly was explained to me, or I had epiphanies in ways that I'm just like, huh. You know, once you start teaching what you know, it opens you up to what you don't know, or helps you to learn things in a different way that makes you apply them. So I'm thinking for me, even as I was started teaching and I'm wanting to know more, I started studying with the esoteric order of the Golden Dawn. And that's after reading books with them. And I became attracted to them because they worship Isis, Mother Mary, but they call her Isis. It's the same thing. And I didn't understand that until I started working with them. And working with them is when I first really started working with angels, like calling them into circles and literally working with angels. And up until then, I thought angels were these gentle beings. They can be. They are enormous. When you work with an angel inside of a circle, and a circle is simply just a space where people think you use circles for protection. And I'm thinking, what are you doing that you need protection, right? Circles are spaces where you condense your energy so that it can be stronger, so to speak. I used to cast circles just to sit and meditate other times, where I would cast circles and just sit and commune with angels, my guides, whatever. It's just an enclosed space where you can compress your energy. And it wasn't until then that when we called angels in, you realize how enormous these beings are and how powerful they are. For anyone who's sensitive to energy, the feeling of suffocation almost, because they totally fill a space, was awe-inspiring. And I have been working with them ever since. So for me, I feel like even in the magical communities, and that was another thing that I absolutely love about this group, there's so much infighting in a lot of groups and communities that I have been a part of. Practitioner to practitioner, no matter how big they are. I didn't even know chaos magic was a thing, but people deal with all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, that is not me. I met Core, a healer who knows a lot of things. And so I take everything that I know and I apply it towards healing, whether it's the Reiki, and with that, the past life regression, the aura clearing. Everything that I do is always to uplift people and help them to be their best selves, and whatever it is that they do. I also feel that this group is very much aligned with that. And so I am really happy that I found you guys. Here I stay. But yeah, I'm very happy here with everyone. Like I said, my journey has been very convoluted. I feel like every time I say something, I remember, oh yeah, and I did this, and oh yeah, I did that. But again, everything that I've done is just I feel full circle. And while I said I was kind of turned off by the churchy atmosphere, it was based on my experiences. But don't get me wrong, I'm not turned off by church at all. I talk to God every day. God, Goddess. I have a friend who was like, why don't you go to church? And I said to him, I'm in church every day. Every day I wake up and I go outside and I see the beauty that is out there. That is my church.
Mhm.
Who made
Yeah.
that? Who caused that to be? You think of all the great mysteries, life, death, birth, rebirth. You see everything. Like here I keep plants, and probably can't see it because of the way everything is like blurred, but I have plants in every room in my house, in my bedroom. It's like a jungle if you'd see the other side. And they're enormous. But remember, I work with plant spirits. Like this plant here, there's meditations. And I think maybe some of you have done that, to go down into the roots and where you connect with the plants. And I tell people, you don't have to cut it. You can get help from the plant kingdom without doing that. And sometimes you do, which is why I use the herbs and the oils and all the different things that I make for healing or aromatherapy or different things. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's still a journey.
Mm. It
Oh,
was wonderful listening to your story. And I have to say, for me, you were the first person that I ordained. And the experience when I drove away that day, I kept on just coming up with this one word, and it was magical. But why was it magical? And it was something about the experience, the energy, and now everything is making sense to me, because what I was feeling was probably your guides and all of the people you work with that were there, you know, as you were being ordained, because it was very emotional for me. And I was like, well, it's not supposed to be emotional for you, Cindy. It's supposed to be emotional for Katrina. But it was a beautiful experience for me. And thank you for that.
Cindy, I love you. And it was emotional for me too. The picture that you sent with the ray of sun that was hitting just right when you guys ordained me,
Wasn't
that
that
was like
crazy?
amazing.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I feel so close to all of you. Like, I really do. I feel like you are all like a family that I had been looking to get into. You guys are like a family that I had been looking for, that I haven't found or hadn't really found in my travels. And I've had magical families. I've been part of magical families that weren't as magical, which is why, like, I will never be part of a coven ever again. They were okay in a mentorship and everything, but that was okay. But it's rare to find a place that accepts you for who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing alternative about it. There's no
Right.
ulterior motives for people to use you or get close to you to get something else. Like, all of you are such lovely, lovely people here. And that's something that I can feel. And I really cherish you all. I still use, someone was picking up my keys the other day, and they saw the tree of life that you gave me, Cindy. And it's so, because that actually is part of the logo for my business. And they were like, perfect. I don't think I told you that, but it is.
Cool.
So I'm like, this was perfect. And I always look for synergy in moments. And when you gave me that and I hugged you and said, thank you, I didn't tell you then, but that to me was also a sign. Like, yeah, this was the right decision. These are
Beautiful.
the right people. So I love you guys.
We
I
love
wanted
you
to show
too.
you, Katrina, I have your book.
You do?
Well, I have this book. You spoke of Scott
That's the
Cunningham.
one,
Oh, yes.
herbs. That book tells you how to make tincture. And there's also the one, incense and brews. It tells you how to do like so many things, even times of the year where you may want to harvest. It's something like, I don't know, you cut a strawberry and you cut it a certain way, you can see the heart. This is why you can use it in love magic, or all the seeds. You might want to use it for abundance, bring some money in. I kitchen witchery, the stuff that you cook can bring good health and good feelings to your family and the people that you love. It's all kinds of things in that book and different ways that you can use it. So I love it.
Catrina, you're marvelous. I relate well to everything you have said. I want to show you Isis that I made in bronze. It's very heavy. It's hard for me to hold.
Oh,
up.
that's beautiful.
It's a
Wow.
statue of Isis.
Nice.
Wow, you made that. That's amazing.
It'll last forever. And if you ever come out to Southern California, it's going to be yours.
Aw,
Oh,
come visit you.
and you better go on a trip now.
I know, right?
And the other thing I'd like from you talked about all the mentors that you have. Now, are you mentoring others right now?
Yes and no. Not in an official sense, so to speak, but every time I talk to people online and through my services, the clients that I have, everything comes with mentorship. So say I have regulars that get readings from me, and I won't always call them tarot readings because I use very little of the tarot cards these days. I will pull it out, sometimes a pendulum, sometimes other readings, but everything they ask me, and they'll ask mundane things sometimes, but it always comes with the mentorship. So for example, there's one lady, she asked for a reading. And I asked her if she has any questions. I said, if not, the way the reading works is I'm going to read you. I'm going to tell you what comes up. You ask me if you have questions after that. And through the reading, for example, she had broken up with someone. It was a bad relationship. But there's so much about herself that was underlying that. And that she needed to work on, and that she knew she needed to work on. And we talked about it. And her next question was, when am I going to meet the next guy? And I'm like, but you just broke up with this guy. You haven't healed yet. It's time for you to work on you, learn to love you. And then we got into some other things. And I know she started crying about those things. And it's because it was a release. So we talked about that. So anything that I do, there's the holistic part, and the readings that I like to give tend to be holistic, but people ask for mundane things. I have to give them what they want. Sometimes we go on a tangent and I'm like, if this comes up, and if they're not ready for it, they're not ready for it. But I've been told that I present things in a way to each person that caters to their personality. So they'll be more open to hearing it. If they're not open, they're just not open. You can't force that. But yes, the short answer is yes. The long answer is, yeah, I try and get the mentorship in because I tell them what spirit wants me to tell them as it comes.
Okay, another suggestion here. Your mentorship can be also by sitting on our board of directors at some point, because we have an organization that honors and mentors everybody that comes into our group. And you would be a perfect complement. I wish you would consider it sometime. Not that it's not up to me, it's up to be the board of directors and to the membership, but you would be a great complement to our leadership community.
Wow.
I agree. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I agree on that one.
Wow. What a compliment.
Doors open when you become a member of this ministry. They certainly did for me. In so many good ways.
I feel like I can learn so much from all of your experiences when I say that I value you all so much. I really mean that. And I'm sure many of you know, what I mean as you go along this path, you develop the ability to read people's energies. Sometimes, like for me, you walk in a room and you can immediately read that energy, good or bad. Do I want to be here or not? And I feel that way, like, about people. And not once have any of you felt disingenuous to me. Not once. I really, really
Oh.
do that. I really value you all very, very much. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Don't make me cry.
Cry, sister, cry. Your tears are welcome.
Thank you.
There's one other thing I'd like to add that I'm sure you're well aware of. You know, I belong to another church group, and I was traveling to Denver with her. I was in Denver, and the head minister of the church, to a large organization where we're learning how to manage churches. And she was introducing me to a number of her friends, and she said, "Well, Charlie's a member of my church." And I said, "That's not quite right." I said, "My church is within." So that fits, doesn't it? The church is within.
It does fit. And I love that. You know, there's that saying, and I tell people all the time, there's that saying, if you don't find it within, you won't find it without. Right. And so this is why the things that we have within us, these are the ideals that we lead by in the way that we live, because, you know, and I said it's all in here and you feel that. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Management. That's a lot. That's a lot.
One time I was in not Glastonbury, but southern England, and was doing healing work at a Unity Center, and I met these two women that asked for some help. So I went to their condo, and their condo was all white and black, and working with them, it became obvious to me that they had come from Egypt, and they were priestesses in Egypt, and they had decided to work on the dark side of the force. And I encouraged them to become white witches and work on the light side of the force. I don't know if I succeeded, but that was the message I had to give to them.
You know, I found lots of people, and I always say this, that, you know, white witches, black witches, that's like, to me, like saying white guns and black guns. You know, a gun is a gun and witchcraft is witchcraft. And you have people who are not so great and people who are. So like my mentor, you know, like Raven's a witch, and people will be like, well, witches are only women. No, they're not. And a warlock is not a witch. A warlock actually is not, in some communities, a good word, right? And I just feel like a person is a person. What people do, and I've met people who said they were Reiki practitioners, and they were talking about sending a Reiki punch to people. And I'm like, that's not what Reiki is about. How are you a Reiki practitioner?
Oh my God.
You know, and it's funny, right? And so, you know, the more I talk to these people, the more I'm like, this is not my group. I know people who practice DJ Conway, and she passed a while ago. I'm still friends with her on Facebook, though. I'll never give that up. She honored Isis, practiced a lot of Egyptian magic, worked with dragons and so on and so forth. And she's not something I would have ever thought worked with Egyptian magic. Like me, I work with Egyptian magic. I don't do that. But Isis, you know, in all her aspects, is not dark. Neither is Sekhmet. She's a healer. or Bast, but you find people that find the dark side of everything. And I think when they tend to want to work with just the dark, that's like chaos magic. And they don't understand that you have a hard time getting ahead because the things that you draw to you are the things that you shouldn't want. Those are the things that are bringing you down. There should be a balance in everything. You hear people say they work with the light as well as with the dark. I work with the light as well as with the dark. When I do energy healing, for example, we do aura clearing, past life regression, so on and so forth. You have to know what the dark things are so that you can find them and work with them and send them up to the light so that they're no longer that dark thing that's pulling darkness to whatever that's ailing a person, or even us, you know, we have dark things in our aura and our energies that tend to cause harm. And most of the time we don't even know they're there. That's how you need to learn how to heal yourself, your ancestral minds. So many things. So I think when it comes to magic, I think magic is just that, but you have people that tend to work on the dark side. I think they're very misinformed. I hope that people go through an epiphany just for themselves, for the betterment of themselves, for the health of themselves. People who tend to work with just darkness like that, I found that they tend to go a bit crazy, for want of a better word. And that's because of the type of energies and entities that they end up working with. That's not good for the self. That's not good for the soul, for the spirit, for the body, for sure.
As a shadow work facilitator, we're trained to create the ritual container because we believe when we bring the shadow to the light that there's gold in that. So it really, I think, depends on the context that we're using that darkness. And we say there's always gold, you know, under the dark. But it takes a certain intention, I think, and a certain training, right, to go into that darkness. And the other thing, I as a writer, I'm always looking up the origin of words because I think they get hijacked in our culture and then they mean certain things that they don't mean. So I was looking up the word church. A lot of people have been hurt in church. And the origin of Latin for assembly. Well, the church is an assembly. And when you look up congregation or assembly, when you look up the origin of the word congregation, it's Latin for gathering together. It's very simple, gathering together. Churches are to gather together. I mean, they have a bad rap in my perspective, but it's just gathering together and casting a circle. I love, circles. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I love circles too. Found out circles are reminiscent of the moon. Go figure.
Yeah. I get the whole thing with the church thing. I was brought up Catholic, and as a young girl, I just could never figure out why I had to do this thing, like go to church every Saturday and ask to be forgiven with my sins. If God is everywhere, can't I just be anywhere and ask that? So I think for some, the church thing, I think it's the rules, the rules that we were forced to abide by, for some of us just didn't make a lot of sense. Like how come Mother Mary kind of got kicked to the curb? In my eyes, as a Catholic little girl, that's kind of how I felt. So as an adult, when I found Madonna Interfaith Ministry, it just like, it was wonderful. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You would have been kicked out of Sunday school with me.
Probably.
I got kicked out of Sunday school so many times for asking questions and the rules. Never forget when we were told that we would sing praises to God forever. And I remember, like, I'm young, I'm little, and I'm like, forever? Like, we don't get to stop? Like, what if I want to watch TV? And they were like, get out. And you know, for the question when they were like, God made everything, and I'm like, did he make the dinosaurs too? And they were like, that doesn't exist. But I'm like, the bones are here. And you know, because I'm very much a typical Gemini.
Mhm.
I'm a Gemini, Leo, Scorpio. So you know, but
Mhm.
anyway, I'm very much like booksy, and I'm like, but the proof is here, and so on and so forth. But very much the same thing. Rules. You know, we're
Mhm.
still in church, but and I used to love watching Shirley Temple. My show is on. Go home, you know, or just different things. So rules and being rigid is very, you know, all jokes aside, something that I don't like. I don't like rules.
Mhm.
I don't like
Mhm.
being rigid. I like spontaneity. I like to do
Mhm.
whatever. And I think on this path, when I started doing things, well, first of all, the conversations that I have with God, he wants us to be happy. He, she, because God is unknowable, right? My mentor, I keep saying mentor, Raven, when he explained the idea of God as Bob, and you know what I mean? God's the father, the son, the neighbor, the co-worker, the like every aspect of God that you have is valid because that is what your experience is, right? Um,
Mhm.
it wasn't until then that I'm like, the way that I'm experiencing God is okay. I talk to God every single day. I talk to my angels every day. Everything that I do every day it's fine. And I had to learn as long as what I'm doing, I'm fine with what I'm doing. God is fine with what I'm doing. Everything is great. And I know that by the feedback and the blessings that I get and the wonderful people like you guys who come into my life, I'm good and I am fine. And everything that I get, I'm so thankful for all the time. And that's the other thing, practicing gratitude, right? That gets you
Mhm.
even more. And we're a good group.
We are a good group.
Hey,
Mhm. We certainly are.
Katrina, another thought here. As Sally B mentioned, the definition of words means
Yes.
something. And the definition, how would you define magic?
Magic. So when we talk about magic, I've always been, so first of all, we spell it Magick. And the K is on because it separates magic that's like parlor tricks from true magic, which is what we do, right? And magic in itself is the change that we create by just using the natural energies that are there. It's the words that I say and the energy that I can push behind it. It's the simplest thing. When I used to teach my students, I would have them turn around and not face me. And I would practice thinking beautiful thoughts at them and not so wholesome thoughts at them. And they would be able to feel the hairs in the back of their neck stand up. It's such a natural thing that people take it for granted, but it's just as real as if I reached out and touched you. That's magic. It's even, I forget the name of the Japanese scientist that had the,
Masimoto with the water.
there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
The simple things. Just imagine what we can do if we think positive things to our water and things or food, for example, before we eat or drink it. We can do that with our Reiki, but you don't even have to be a Reiki practitioner to do that. That's magic. You're making changes, energetic changes to something that's there on a level that you don't even understand, but you've done it. And that's magic. Once you understand that small concept, imagine the bigger things that you can do with that understanding. That really is true magic. And it's a science. It's only being more measurable now by scientists. But the people like us have always known that these are things that we can do, whether it's energy healing, just all these things that we do. That's magic. But it's not really that extraordinary if people would realize that they can actually do it themselves. Now, some of us are better at doing it than others, and I think it's just because of how long we've been doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But whether you believe it or not, it is what it is. You can say, I don't believe in fire, but the fire is still there, right? It doesn't care if you believe in it or not. People can waylay themselves by disbelief. That doesn't negate that the magic is still there. I think, to me, that is our connection to God and to spirit. And that's why we all have that God spark. That's how we can connect and affect not only ourselves, but everything that we have here. But that's my take on it. That's really what magic is. I don't want to give it like a big name or a big whatever, but in the simplest terms, it's our ability to manipulate energy. And we all have that, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And the origin of the word, old Persian word, means to help, to be able, to be powerful. So that certainly fits with everything you
That is
said.
amazing, Sally. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's
For
us.
all of us.
So, Katrina, my first introduction years ago to magic was Marion Weinstein's book, Positive Magic. And from there, I was introduced to Scott Cunningham, but her book was the groundbreaking for me into Wicca. And I found my way into Wiccan from studying my Celtic history, which brought up paganism and the connection between Native Americans and pagans and Wiccans. And then for me, having grown up Irish Catholic, and in my early 20s separating from the Catholic Church, but realizing how important spirituality was for me, but they were different, which you all know, so I don't have to say. I found that it wasn't easy to explain, and I didn't make it a fact to like really put it out there. But at the time I was living in Phoenix, and there was a good occult group of people there that it was safe to develop this new thing, ideology or way of being. And basically what it came down to is, because then the next step after that was realizing that it's really just manifestation. So my thoughts have power. And the church that I attended at the time was Religious Science of Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And their moniker at the time was change your life, change your thoughts, or change your thoughts, change your life. And so I just look at the magic, the rituals, if you will, are just tools for me to concentrate, to use my natural energy and Earth's natural energy forces to concentrate it to create a manifestation with harm to none. That's the good magic, with harm to none. And so anything that goes out has to be grounded back into the earth with harm to none. I also ran into a person who practiced Spanish black magic. I forget what you call it at the moment, but and I have to say, I had an interesting experience where somebody forcefully tried to put a bad spell on me. And I found that the goodness, the white light of my beingness, staying focused in that they couldn't touch that. They couldn't penetrate that. And so that was a huge lesson for me as well.
I feel like people, your goodness, and so there's the law of karmic return, right? What you send out comes back to you. Whether it's good or bad, what you send out comes back to you. And that's why, we talk about to being in the spirit of receiving, you have to be in the spirit of giving. Like your energy is like so great. So the things that you do, you selflessly do, all the things that you do, that's returned to you. So this Buddhist monk that I worked with for a long time, he got me into meditation and doing all that stuff anyway. But he explained it to me is that your good works, all of that builds up around you. And that it creates your barrier, your shield. You have like so much white and golden light around you, like already. And I can see and feel that. It is just amazing that you got it like that way. Like you build up your protection, like your shield. And it's hard for anyone to get through that. And what happens is that when people try and send something your way, it either will just be returned to them. Maybe a little bit gets to you, but you have a big enough barrier. And a lot of us that do our energy healing or the different things that we do through meditation, or there's so many different ways to build up your barriers. It not only absorbs that, it pushes it away. Sometimes you energy healing as well, but like your barriers are really, really good and really strong. I can tell that already. Just
Thank you.
We are. You are. Do you have like a dog or a wolf or something like that?
Not a wolf, but I've rescued animals my whole life. I currently have 3 dogs and 2 cats, and I just finished building a cattery because I'm going to start fostering some of the cats from the California wildfires.
Okay, I feel like a lot of that animal energy around you. Big dogs?
I have variety. But maybe there's
Wow.
because of where I live and I'm surrounded by coyotes, maybe that's what you're picking up too.
Maybe, because it's something that's like that. Wolf, coyote. I'm a city girl, so I'm just like, I feel I feel this, but it's something big, like really like a protector energy that you have around you. And it's not just a physical, this is like a spiritual animal.
Mm.
But I think that is amazing. You said Irish?
Yeah, I'm 2nd and 3rd generation.
It's a wolf.
The Irish wolf
That's so
family.
awesome of you to help the cats. That's just wonderful that you're doing that. Because I have thought a lot about the poor animals with all those fires.
Yeah.
So basically what happened is it was a trickle effect, just real quick, just to tell you, I don't want to be misleading in transparency. So what had happened is the already shelters and adoption centers in California moved out their inventory, make the injury local so that people could get them again. So I'm indirectly taking those animals that made room for the injured animals so that they could be reunited with their people. But anyway, but I'm only now able to do something like this because I fairly recently bought a house. And so I have 8 acres. I have enough room to now do what I've always wanted to do, which has have an animal sanctuary. And I also want to have a hospice place too, which is maybe part of the energy that you pick up is I want to be a death doula and help people transition out in a very peaceful environment. I don't think anybody should die alone, and they need not die in a hospital in that environment if it can be helped.
That's
I've
beautiful.
been doing hospice home care for 50 years, and you know what? We need more people like you. Yeah, we do.
And what part of California do you live in?
I'm in Arizona, so I'm closest to Lake Havasu.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I got to travel. I would love to meet you guys in person.
Yeah, we could definitely do that, especially Arizona. California is close enough for a day trip. We got to get you back east, people, to come out here. I'll pick you up and then we'll carve in to California.
Great.
And 29 Palms at the property. We would love to meet at the property. It's like three hours between me and Caitlin. So between Los Angeles, Southern California, and Arizona is equidistant from the new property. That would be fun.
God plan it.
Well, thank you for sharing, Catrina. That was music to my ears. I like with Charlie, I related quite a bit for whatever reason that it has not been revealed to me. And this is just in relating to you, not to make it about me. Is I too have searched for camaraderie in group, and for whatever reason, it has evaded me. I've experienced a lot of disappointment, and I've had wonderful people come in my life, but they seem to be very fluid and go out as well. So, and a lot of that was me moving around as well over the years, but I seem to be a lone wolf by not by choice, but I accept it for sure, to just accept it, even with family. I have very little family activity as well. So I've just taken upon that I'm a solo ministry, which is what brought me to this ministry, because we're all kind of solo ministers coming together. The church without walls was very appealing to me. And so I thank you for sharing, because that was all very I feel like I could breathe easier now. Like, hey, I'm not alone in the world.
Oh, that's beautiful.
When my kids were young, my 3 sons, we part of Indian Guide program, and I was Big Wolf, and they were middle size and teeny wolf. So we're a wolf family.
Wow.
That's cute.
Does anybody else have any questions for Catrina at this point?
Well, I didn't really have a question. Something that ran through my head when you were speaking about your childhood, growing up and not understanding totally whatever. You listen to a lot of people who grew up like that, and we're all drummers to our own drum, and we're all very individual in some way. And it would be really nice if there was some sort of Harry Potter 101 that everyone who was magically inclined could go to for guidance and learning and whatever. And then you mentioned about finding this organization and how special you felt. I felt the same way when I came to Madonna, and I'm still here. And you talked about it being a special group. Well, we had a reading done at this meeting, and the woman who read me threw in a very short comment from my father. And it was of the fact that he was glad I found this organization.
Oh,
And that put a special stamp on this group from the other side. And if
oh.
you knew my father, he was so hardline, severe fundamentalist that I wasn't even allowed to look at the horoscope in the newspaper because I would be going to hell in a handbasket. So that's a that's a as far as I'm concerned, a really good stamp of approval on this organization. And I'm glad you're here. And I look forward to hearing from you in the future. And I'd love to hear more about the magical aspects of plants. Paula has told us all about the gardening, and it would be really nice to hear the magical use of
Yes,
plants.
I second that, Katrina. Like, I think you should do something like that for one of our services.
Yes,
That would be great.
I would
I'm there.
enjoy it.
I
And
certainly would as well.
thank you for the talk this morning. I took a lot from it.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Katrina, especially for like you going into your thoughts about the phrasing of like light and dark magic or black and white magic or all of that. Like I even feel challenged sometimes in coming up with language to replace dark because the dark is the place where we rest. The dark is the place where seeds germinate. It's healing. And so I just love that part of you talking about that. And I'm always thinking about that as well. So thank you for putting that in there.
Thank you. So I know we're going to go over, but I just want to say this though. Sorry, I'm going to ignore that. But when we talk about darkness, dark is the womb. It's the womb of creation. And people are so afraid of the dark because you don't know what's going to be created in the dark. You see what's in the light, but the darkness is all possibilities. And once I understood that, you understand a bit more about the fear of darkness. You have no idea what's going to come out of the darkness. You see what's in the light. The darkness is not bad. It literally is what I was taught is the womb of creation. When we're born, when we're in the womb, we're in the dark, right? You don't know what's what until you come out into the light. So darkness is not necessarily something that's bad. Even when we
Right.
talk about shadow work, the things that are in the shadows are the things that are unseen. They're the things that you don't know. And as we do our shadow work, we learn what triggers us, whether it's past life stuff or from like ancestral minds or more recent things that happened in childhood or as you became an adult. But again, it's hidden, but it doesn't mean that it's bad, right? Anyway, I digress. I just get caught up in stuff like that. So.
And Catrina, Caitlin wondered about your website address, so maybe you could pop that in the chat really quick.
Well, I'm still working on my website, guys.
Okay.
I have pictures and stuff to put up there, but I will put it in the chat.
Thanks for the caveat. We know it's in progress, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got pictures and stuff that I have to put up in it, and then I'll be done. So it is www. Too many W's. Your divine experience.net. Your divine experience. There he is.
Perfect.
Thank you.
It's 2 D's. I spelled it wrong, guys. It's 1 D. Sorry.
Okay.
So it's your
Okay.
divine experience.net.
Okay.
Great.
Blessings, everybody, for a wonderful week.
Blessings.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Blessings
Do
to
we
everybody.